This episode is brought to you by Lumina Growth Lab. At Lumina, we help professional learning and development companies who are struggling with predictable lead flow, breaking out beyond their network, and a sniper approach to attracting the ideal clients so they can have a smoother sales process, finally have scalability, and ultimately take their business to the next level. Most of the time, our clients come to us frustrated because business has fundamentally changed since the pandemic and now the disruption of AI. But with the right strategy and support, they're able to confidently add new channels of lead generation, leading to a packed pipeline that creates sustainable revenue and year-over-year growth for cheaper than ever before because of the use of AI technologies. If that sounds like you or someone you know, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about unlocking your business's potential. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Marketing Matrix. I'm your host, Lisanne Murphy, and today I am joined by the wonderful and talented and ambitious Molly Lebowitz. Molly, thank you so much for coming onto the show today.
Thanks, Lisanne. Great to be here.
Guys, I am really, really excited for you to meet this powerhouse woman. She's a firecracker, and she's done some amazing things in her career. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation. But before I hand over the mic, I want to take a moment to introduce her a little bit more formally. Molly Lebowitz is the Vice President of Industry Consulting and Brand at Propeller, a women-owned consulting firm known for helping large companies turn ambitious strategy into operational reality. With a background spanning engineering, education, and tech, Molly has led consulting work with technical leaders in multiple industries. She also shapes how Propeller shows up in the market as a brand, ensuring what they deliver and how they communicate are tightly aligned. Molly is a learner and a builder at heart. She's also a mom and dabbles in auto mechanics on the weekends. So guys, wherever you're at, give a big round of applause for Molly. Molly, this is awesome. I didn't know that about you. The auto mechanic on the weekend. This is great. I feel like it would only do us justice to start there because it sounds like that's kind of a core passion for you.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, as a tinkerer at heart, I think, working on my car is always a part of that. I have a 1979 Datsun 210 for all you Datsun Nissan fans out there. And I think I break more things than I fix, but I have a lot of fun in the process.
That's fantastic. Is this something you've been into since you learned to drive, or was your dad into it, or is this like a millennial new hobby? Like what?
I think I would have been like the dream child for a parent who was into it. My parents weren't. My dad's like an attorney, wasn't really a hands-on person, but I discovered it later in life and ended up, I don't know how I procured this car, but then I got on the internet forums and met all these people. It would probably be deemed pretty sketchy today, but we ended up meeting up in person. People taught me how to do stuff. And, the next thing you know, I'm taking apart a carburetor. So yeah.
That is so wild. Okay, so what's the current system you're either upgrading or repairing on the
Oh
car?
gosh, the vacuum advance on the carb is totally messed up. And this is a part, there's a lot of parts you can still get, but this is one that has a rubber gasket in the middle that they just don't make them anymore. And so you have to get creative and try to figure it out. But the carburetor itself, the heart of the engine, is just such a feat of engineering. I'm just always floored by the amount of tubes and air and gas going through the thing. Who invented this thing? It's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. So is this is this hobby, is it do you get into a flow state when you're working on it and it helps you clear your mind, or is it
I set up my little radio, my portable radio, next to the hood, and I kind of get into it. I get frustrated and dirty. I usually get, my hands get all cut up, but it's fun. I like it when the sun is shining. I bring a cup of coffee out there, and I never have a garage, so I park on the street. So it's always people are walking by. A lot of people have questions. It's kind of social.
This is amazing. I love it. And especially since this is a later in life find for you. So I'm curious how your work on the car has informed your work in the office.
Oh my gosh. I think the work on the car is the release for the work in the office. No, I think, we'll get into talking about my work, but really, I think of a company as, an engine in a way. It's a collection of people trying to do something, and so you're trying to go in a certain direction and make all the pieces work together in concert with each other. When something's out of balance, it's not working. And so I think it is very similar, when you do the strengths finder stuff. I always have that restorative strength, which means it's not restorative like meditation restorative. It's you want to fix the thing. And I think that's true of my car. I want to get it running and tuned. That's also true of my work in consulting. Like I go in, an enterprise is never working perfectly. There's always things to optimize and, get leaders to work better with their teams so that that collection of people can, achieve their goals. So yeah, it is similar in a way. I never really thought about it until you asked the question.
No, I love it. I love it. Well, I think that's really interesting. Like it's a good connection between like the the intricacies of an engine compared to like the intricacies of the machine of a corporation. And when one small piece is off, like it can create big problems. And really that's what a consultant is being able to like diagnose those problems, right? Is like being able to adequately go in and say, "Oh, okay, like this is what we're dealing with here. Like this is the issues." That's so fun. I don't have any. I literally cannot think of one girlfriend that I have that works on cars. So like this is like so fun to like to meet you and like know that that's your hobby. It's so
It's
great.
so funny. I don't know why that is. I think it's just, I don't know. We just
Have
don't treat
you
girls
by doing it, have you met like other chicks that are into cars? Like have you
not
created like a little
really.
niche community? No?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think. They're all old dudes, like, and all the old guys like walk by are like, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" I'm like, "I don't know. Do you know anything about carburetors?" And they're like, "No."
It's hilarious. They see you like the woman with dirty hands and you're in distress and
Yeah, yeah.
that's so
Or I'm like
funny.
under the car, and they're like, "How do we get you out?" I'm like, "No, no, I need to be under here."
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, this is the best. This is the best.
It's funny.
Okay, so let's talk about your work. Is consulting something that you started very early, or like did you have other foundational things? Then like there was a genesis
Yeah.
event that like led you into
It's
consulting.
an interesting question. My first job was in consulting, but not management consulting. I studied engineering in school and I became an environmental engineer consultant. So, working on different, like, construction, engineering assessment projects, billing by the hour as an engineer. And so, that was professional services, very different from what I do today and the types of consulting that I do today. But my career was grounded in that kind of like client service, project oriented, mindset of a consultant. It was much more technical at the time. But yeah, there's a lot of commonalities across those types of consulting, I would say.
Okay, so how did you make the bridge from engineering to human, like management consulting?
Yeah, it wasn't a direct route. I think just that kind of ever-present curiosity. So, that the engineering consulting was fascinating to me and I worked on a lot of different types of projects, but it didn't really fully scratch the itch. I think I was very business curious. I ended up running a branch of a small business that was trying to expand into Seattle, doing like engineering education for kids. Then I was curious about large corporations. I went to work at Intel. I did project management there, which was like a real mind bender just because of the scale and the complexity of the operations. I was working on like the support systems for the fab, which are extremely complex. And then I migrated to a more business market intelligence role at Intel, where I learned about financial forecasting and business strategy and long term planning. And it was like all that stuff combined, the experience of working in a big company, the experience of professional services, engineering consulting, project management. And then I was like, I just love learning. I love looking under the hood at different companies. And so consulting was a way to like stitch all that together, management consulting, working on higher order problems with executives in many companies who, believe it or not, have a lot of the same challenges at the end of the day.
Interesting. So, do you find like I know that the like your focus at your company is like very operationally focused, which is kind of like very engineering-esque, but like have
True.
you found like there have been some additional complexities like adding the human element? Because I mean like a machine is a machine, pretty predictable. But humans, they throw their human wrenches and things all the time. Like how have
Yeah.
you navigated that piece
And
of
the
the
human element is ever present. Like there is no company without humans. At the end of the day, you work through humans, you communicate with humans, humans get stuff done, humans enable technology. The balance of what's done by humans and what's done by tech, very apropos topic right now, that boundary is always shifting and will continue to shift. But yes, like humans have their hand on the steering wheel. Humans have to work together to make decisions. Humans decide where they're going and how they're going to get there. So, yes, the human aspect is huge. And I think our work would be a lot more simple if it didn't have that. But like I actually think that's the heart of it. And that is also the differentiator with, Propeller and like the emotional intelligence that we foster in our consultants and like how to work through complex human environments, not just technical ones.
Yeah. So, your Propeller is a women-owned consulting firm,
That's right.
correct? And do you strictly work with other women-owned businesses or not necessarily?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily at all. There was a time when a lot of large companies had goals around the amount of spending with professional services and other providers that they wanted to do with companies that were diverse, meaning Black owned businesses, women owned businesses. There's lots of different certifications and categories. And so, in some ways, it has helped us like break into new markets and establish relationships with new companies. I would say, unfortunately, that's not so true anymore. We don't see companies asserting those spend goals with diverse suppliers as much as we used to, but we're still proud to be woman owned. I think it sends a certain signal both to our clients and our employees about our values and our place in the market.
Yeah. Are there particular industries that Propeller focuses on?
Yeah, great question. And that's actually a big scope of my role, thinking about the industries that we serve and trying to kind of grow that angle. So our biggest footprint is in retail and technology industry. We also have a focus in energy and utilities, and that's a big growth area for us. We've done some work in healthcare, public sector, but those tend to be smaller for us. So retail and tech are our biggest.
Is that shifting like with AI right now? But like, or is the consulting work in tech still pretty strong?
But the consulting work in tech is very, very strong. Yes. No, I think it will shift. I think every industry has a lot of room to run when it comes to AI technology. And tech companies are tackling it from multiple angles, which keeps it very interesting. They're adapting their own suite of features to leverage new technology, but also they're as they would say, eating their own dog food or like applying AI technology the way their internal operations works, just like every other company is. And, with software development, there's a lot to be gained with that. So yeah, tech's an interesting case in particular, but I wouldn't say it's contracting in any way, shape, or form.
Nice. And are there specific institutional problems that someone would turn to Propeller for? Like if we're experiencing X, then we
Yeah.
need a company like Propeller.
Yeah, I think, Propeller comes in when a challenge is especially cross functional, especially complex, requires operational expertise that it doesn't make sense for a company to keep on staff or have durably. So they're going through a transformation. Some big aspect is changing. That could be a people oriented thing, a process oriented thing, a big technology implementation. And so they need to bring in experts who have done that before, seen that before, worked within this functional area to overhaul XYZ. We can come in and help them in the trenches. And in the trenches is a key part of it. Like, we're not the kind of consulting firm that's going to poke and prod and produce a glossy, beautiful slide deck that tells you all the things you need to do and then peace out. Like, that's, we're in it with you very much. I was just in a conversation the other day and, a client was like, people forget that the consultant isn't even on our team. Like, they are really embedded and working side by side with our clients.
That's really, really cool. So, how what is it difficult to like find up like when is the right time to insert yourself? Is it like before a change is happening, or is it like they're trying to implement a cross-functional shift and it's like turning into a disaster?
Yeah, great question. We get brought in at all phases of the life cycle. Sometimes the thing was supposed to already have gone live or started and it's been a complete disaster, like you said. Sometimes we're brought in the very inception when they're conceiving of the change, trying to make big vendor decisions or big decisions on where to invest. My approach is always like, don't judge the client's current state. Like, they're asking for help, and an ask for help is pure and a noble pursuit. So we dive in and take whatever the situation is, wherever they're at in the life cycle. And we can always help, if the thing has gone south and you need to re-baseline and get the executives around a plan that will actually come true, we can do that. If, you're trying to make very hand-wavy initial decisions about investments, we can help structure the thinking around that. So yeah, we can come in at different phases. It's a really great question. And like, I think what's most important is that, a company recognizes the need for expertise. Whatever has happened has happened. It's a sunk cost. Like, you are where you are. And the best thing you can do is like take the best next step forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So it sounds like you have a pretty wide range of consultants. Like, do you have like consultants that have like different areas of expertise? Like if someone
Yeah.
is like at different parts of the life cycle or like expertise in different industries, like how do you manage your pool of consultants to like be able to adequately handle the projects?
Yeah. our CEO once said that like walking around Propeller is like being in a museum of art, and every piece of art has a different, tenor to it and a different style. And I think that's so true. And that's such a beautiful metaphor for the collection of expertise that we have at the company. Our people are our assets, and like just respecting that expertise that they bring, but also curating it. Like we can't be bringing on, we're a small company. We have 130 people. We can't be bringing on expertise in 47 different dimensions because we can't, manage that work and do the matchmaking correctly. So we have to like curate our offerings to the core things that we see in demand, and then also curate the expertise as our talent strategy to have those consultants. We don't hire for projects. We have a collection of full-time employees that work at Propeller, and we deploy them. We deploy the pieces of art in the museum to the right problem statement based on the collection of skills that are needed. It's a really
That's cool.
gratifying role to do that matchmaking, because at the end of the day, I get to deploy experts who do stuff that I couldn't possibly do, but it's the match between the client problem and the consultant skills. And when it works and when they reach great success, it's very gratifying.
I love that. So tell me more about your role. I'm super curious. Like this, you're the vice president of industry consulting and brand, and you talked about how like you're looking at like what industries you need to push into. So like, what's your tell me about your art piece in the museum and the art gallery at Propeller.
Hey, I think I'm back.
Yeah, it sounds like you're back. Welcome back.
Thanks. Sorry about that. I don't know what
You're
happened.
totally good. You're
Okay.
totally good. This is exactly one of the reasons why we don't stream live. This is all good. Okay. So I'm just gonna re-ask the last question that I
Great.
asked you. Okay.
Great.
So tell me a little bit more about your particular role in Propeller. Like tell me about your work of art in this museum, to keep that analogy going.
Yeah, totally. I have kind of a unique role. I don't do as much direct client delivery anymore. I sometimes oversee complex engagements that we're leading, but more so what I'm focused on these days is trying to really help Propeller articulate the services that we bring to clients, specifically in the industries where our footprint is the largest or where we see the greatest opportunity. So industry for us, it's not necessarily changing the services that we offer. It's really putting them in a context that our clients, our customers can understand and wrap their heads around, using lingo and industry awareness and industry trends that resonate with them. So I'm really trying to get Propeller to take advantage of that marketing posture and really go to market with our service offerings in the most compelling way possible in the communities, the industry communities where we think the biggest opportunity lies.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Do you have like key people that you follow or key books that you've read on branding to help you with that?
Yeah, good question. Our leader of brand on my team has a book club, and I haven't been really good at participating in that. It's a new area for me. I've only led our brand and marketing team for the last 6 months or so, and so I'm coming up to speed and very open. I would love to like hear other guests' answers to that question so that I can subscribe and learn more. But no, I don't have any go-tos quite yet. Any
I love it.
recommendations?
Well, one of the best. I was just thinking about this because I was, I'm being an entrepreneurial. I'm always tinkering and working with things, and so I was
Yeah.
just putting together a brand guide for a project that I'm working on. And one of my favorite books that I've ever read on branding is called Primal Branding,
Hmm. Okay.
and it's really amazing. Because it breaks down like really really iconic, massive brands and like what makes them turn into a household name, right? Where like things like people stop saying I want a soda, they say I want a Coke, or like they don't need a tissue, they need a Kleenex, right? And so like brands that are like, you don't search for something on the internet, you Google it, right? So like brands that like become the icon, right?
Yeah.
It like breaks down like what are the core, and so there's like 7 core elements to like what makes up an iconic brand. And it's a very good read. It's a great read. I think the guy's name who wrote it's Peter Hanlon.
Okay. No, I'll check that out. That reminds me of like a couple podcasts that I do love. The Acquired podcast, which I'm sure many of your listeners subscribe to, and also
Yeah.
How I Built This, which is a really good one
Yeah.
as well. So, but that's like a little less marketing focused, a little more like entrepreneurial, I would say.
That's so fun as well. Still, I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. So, at the time of this recording, it's still pretty early in 2026. Like, what are some of Propeller's big initiatives? Like, what are you guys working on this year?
Yeah, we have some kind of newfound focus in some of our primary service offerings that we're building out for folks. The footprint of what companies are demanding is ever changing. When I first started consulting, everyone was talking about their agile transformation and agile software development, and like that's kind of out, and other things are in. And it's interesting that the waves of transformation happen even across industries to different companies at different times. So we're focused on a lot of the service offerings that we see as very top of mind for executives today. Things like refining operating models, like really the way teams work to get stuff done within companies, and the intersection of operating model when it comes to using AI technology. So like we were talking about at the very beginning of this session, like that interface between human and machine is moving right now because we have new tools in our toolbox, new generative AI capabilities. And so everyone's like picking up their head and being like, wait a second, the stuff that the humans are doing, they maybe don't need to do anymore, and we could free up some brain space. So who can we bring in to help us think about that challenge, move the line, and then most importantly, get our teams to work in the new way, and to understand what we're changing, to rally around their new scope of work, and to leverage the machines in the new way that we couldn't a couple of years ago. So there's just so much human work to be done in that type of transformation, and like
Interesting.
that is the thing that everyone is knocking down our door to solve and think about.
Interesting. So
Yeah,
is that creating like a pressure for you guys to like figure out how to use like agentic AI in your own processes to guide people through that? Or like
yeah, there are
is it
so
less
many
about
layers to this
like
for
the
us.
tactics of how to use AI and more about like how to train people to use different systems?
Yeah, there's a ton of layers that as a professional services provider we need to be thinking about this. Like, number one, we need to be transforming our own operations, our own invoicing and billing and HR. There's so many opportunities for us to use AI technology to make our company run smoother. So that's number one. Number two is thinking about how we do the consulting work that we already do better, faster, cheaper, using, AI assist in every dimension of what we do. And then the third, well, I guess there's probably four. The third is like thinking about the new types of projects that clients are trying to tackle and making sure that we can help them with those. So that's like AI operating model. That's a really great example. People weren't asking for that 2 years ago, but they're definitely asking for that now. So we need to like be really crisp and clear in like how we are advising clients in that space. And then the fourth one, which I would love to break into, this might be more of a 2027 exercise, but what AI products do we offer? Like, can we offer an AI powered consultant that we can deploy and make the costs much cheaper for our clients, in specific areas? We don't want to cannibalize our own business, but this opens up so many opportunities for consulting firms to think differently about deploying expertise. It doesn't always have to be a human brain anymore. What does that look like? How do you still differentiate yourself? How do you build that model and basically become a platform company or software company? So like there's lots of challenges that we could choose to tackle in this space. And the first three we're definitely working on. The fourth one I hope to come soon.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I think it's a really robust and like very like 360 approach to all of like the questions that need to be answered is for you guys to be effective in that area. So fun. And okay, so and what are some of the questions that are keeping you up at night? Like the roadblocks, the things you're like, oh man, like I do not know about this, or like we've got to figure this out soon. Like what are the sticking points for you right now? So good. So good. I love it. Well, I love how you think, and I'm really Propeller's lucky to have you, and I'm really excited for everything that you guys have going on and the work that you do and your view, honestly, of the opportunity that technology is giving and the life that you feel that it's breathing into your businesses and the consulting opportunities that are coming. So it's really fun. So Molly, thank you so much for sharing everything you've shared today on the podcast. It's been such a joy having you and learning from you and feeling of your passion and learning about your cars and how that relates to your consulting and how you've just like stepped into this new role with openness and bright eyes and excitement, but a lot of confidence as well. So again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I love it. Okay, so for people that want to follow you and your journey or find Propeller, like give us the details. How do they do that? I love it. Okay, guys, I'm going to put the links that Molly just mentioned in the episode notes so you can link to those directly. But again, Molly, thank you so much. And guys, from me and my audience, thank you so much for coming and sharing. And guys, wherever you are, wherever you're listening, we know that your time is valuable. So for you to spend some time with us means the absolute world. So thank you so much. And until next time on the Marketing Matrix.